and members of the FA Press, and welcome to today's joint press conference by the Honorable Secretary Enrique Manalo, Secretary of Foreign Affairs of the Philippines, and Her Excellency Kaja Kallas, the EU High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy and Vice President of the European Commission. We will first hear from Secretary Manalo, after which we will request Her Excellency Kallas to deliver her remarks. Secretary Manalo, you have the floor.
Thank you. High Representative and Vice President, delegates from the European Union, my colleagues from the Department of Foreign Affairs, friends of the media, ladies and gentlemen, no sound? Such a good introduction.
Yeah. Really. Rehearsal. Practice makes perfect.
Here? Okay. All right. Sorry, again, High Representative and Vice President Kaja Kallas. I need a mic.
For the camera.
It's not coming out of the speaker.
That's good.
Technical issue.
Okay, you hear? Oh, okay. Three makes perfect. Good afternoon, High Representative and Vice President Kaja Kallas. Delegates from the European Union, my colleagues from the Department of Foreign Affairs, friends of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It is my great pleasure to welcome HRVP Kallas to the Philippines and have had the opportunity to build upon the discussions we had earlier this year on the sidelines of the Munich Security Forum. HRV Kallas' visit is another testament of the Philippines and the EU's enduring friendship, underpinned by our shared commitments to democracy, good governance, rule of law, human rights, and sustainable development. Today, our relationship reaches another significant milestone with our decision to create a security and defense dialogue. This dialogue will provide a mechanism for the Philippines and the EU to discuss security and defense-related issues with both depth and regularity. We have already laid the groundwork for this collaboration with the establishment of the Subcommittee on Maritime Cooperation under the Philippine-EU Partnership and Cooperation Agreement. We also have ongoing collaboration under the Critical Marine Routes Indo-Pacific, or Primario 2, and the Enhancing Security Cooperation in and within Asia, ESIWA. As like-minded partners committed to a rules-based international order, we hope that through the security and defense dialogue, we will remain proactive and united in addressing emerging security threats and challenges that transcend borders, cyber attacks, and foreign interference and manipulation of information, or FIMI, to name a few. HRV Kallas and I also had an engaging discussion on other key aspects of our bilateral relations, notably in the area of economic cooperation and climate change. I emphasize the importance of deepening our economic ties as we pursue greater collaboration.
Sound is lost again.
Lost again? No sound? Oh, there. Okay. I emphasize the importance of deepening our economic ties as we pursue greater collaboration in trade and investment through the conclusion of the Philippine-EU Free Trade Agreement. Noting the firm commitment of both sides in advancing negotiations, I express the Philippines' hope for the continued support of the EU and its member states towards the early conclusion of negotiations of a comprehensive, balanced, and modern FTA. I acknowledge the significance of the EU's flagship initiatives, the Green Economy Program, Copernicus, and the Digital Economy Package, as a comprehensive approach to promoting sustainable development in the Philippines. During the meeting, we also reaffirmed our steadfast commitment to the UN Charter and support for non-aggression, sovereign equality, and the territorial integrity of all nations, including support for UNCLOS and the 2016 Arbitral Award. These principles shape the Philippines' consistent positions on key global and regional issues, including the situations in Ukraine and the West Philippine Sea. And we thank the EU and its member states for their clear and principled statements of support regarding incidents in the South China Sea. I express the Philippines' continued support for Ukraine's sovereignty, independence, and territorial integrity within its internationally recognized borders, expressed through our votes in the UN General Assembly resolutions on Ukraine. I reiterated our call of concerned parties to seek a peaceful and diplomatic resolution to the conflict. We also appreciate EU's continued commitment to ASEAN centrality, and we look forward to closer coordination with the EU during the chairship of ASEAN next year. Though today's geopolitical uncertainties may be challenging, the enduring strength of Philippine-EU relations provides a solid foundation for us to pursue shared goals and develop forward-looking solutions. Thank you and good afternoon.
Thank you. Thank you, Secretary. We will now give the floor to HRB.
Let's first test if my microphone works. Good. Good. Dear Secretary Manalo, dear Enrique, it's truly a pleasure to be here. Thank you for the productive discussion we had today. So the European Union's relationship with the Philippines is already on a positive trajectory. Today, we take it to another level. First of all, we share a commitment to upholding the rules-based international order, to promoting peace and stability, and to addressing common challenges together. These include the developments in the South China Sea and Russia's illegal war of aggression in Ukraine. Today, we announce the establishment of new EU-Philippines security and defense dialogue. This will be a dedicated platform through which we can deepen our cooperation, exchange expertise on security and defense, and explore joint initiatives that contribute to the regional as well as global security. Our work will be comprehensive and will include maritime security, cybersecurity, foreign information manipulation and interference, counterterrorism, crisis response, and more. But our partnership and dialogue goes beyond security and defense. We are already enhancing our cooperation in digital connectivity, people-to-people contacts, green economy, and we will move forward with the next rounds of negotiations of a free trade agreement. The European Union is a firm believer in multilateralism, and it is also a committed partner to ASEAN and regional cooperation between EU and ASEAN. We look forward to working closely with Philippines as you are the chair of ASEAN in 2026. And today, Secretary Manalo and I also discussed the recent midterm elections in the country, and I underlined our regret about the restrictions to the access of our electoral observation mission despite arrangements prior to the deployment. Last but definitely not least, as we all know very well, peace and security and stability are fundamental. This is why the European Union is committed to supporting the peace process in Mindanao, and we also contribute to the humanitarian work on the ground. In today's complex and contested geostrategic environment, it is more important than ever to build strong partnerships. The European Union is a reliable, predictable, and credible, ambitious partner to the Philippines, and we see strong potential to deepen our cooperation even further. So thank you again for welcoming us. Thank you.
Thank you, HRB Kallas. We will now open the floor to questions. We will entertain only 2 journalists because of time constraint, and 1 question each per journalist, 1 for HRB Kallas and the other 1 for SFA. So the first question to be directed to HRB Kallas will be by Barnaby Lowe of Al Jazeera.
Good morning, Secretary. Good morning, Ms. Kallas. So, again, this question is for Ms. Kallas. So following your frank and candid remarks at the recently concluded Shangri-La Dialogue, which included, among others, you saying that the growing alliance between China and Russia is an emerging global threat. What is the EU's red line when it comes to Chinese aggression in the Asia-Pacific region, specifically on Taiwan and the South China Sea, and how would the EU respond? And what sort of security partnership do you envision for the EU and the Philippines? So would the EU, for example, help with defense modernization or deploy more assets and troops to the Philippines or participate in exercises? If I may add one question, since we're talking about red lines, the EU has said that the red line in Gaza has been the blockade by Israel on humanitarian assistance for those suffering in Gaza. At what point will the EU pressure Germany and Italy to stop sending weapons to Israel?
Thank you. So first I want to say that the European Union is a firm believer in international law. And in the international law, we have agreed certain principles. We have the UNCLOS, we have the maritime security arrangements and the rules there. So we reject any unilateral changes to the status quo, including use of coercion. And of course, we are supporting all the partners who are believers of international law, and we are willing to defend the law as well. Because if you don't defend the law, then the situation is in the world, in global sphere, much different. On the humanitarian assistance, we have been very firm on this. It is the humanitarian aid that we are giving to Gaza that is also blocked now, and we are being in contact with our counterparts in Israel to unblock this and to help the people, because it's funded by the European Union mostly, in very large part. So the loss of life is untenable. The suffering of the people have to end, and we need to do everything in our power to do and to put the pressure there. We have, on the European level, agreed on many principles, including support for the two-state solution, end of the hostilities, immediate ceasefire, and release of hostages. And we are trying to push the parties into that agreement. Thank you.
Thank you. Zen Hernandez of ABS-CBN, direct question, please, because we're running out of time.
All right. Good afternoon and welcome to the Philippines, HRPB Kallas and Secretary Manalo. At the Shangri-La Dialogue in Singapore, U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth made a pronouncement without any sugarcoating that China poses an imminent threat to Asia, saying it is rehearsing and or preparing to use military power. So for U.S. allies, this sounds like a reaffirmation of U.S. support, but some observers and experts are saying this is a provocation. So as a state at the front lines, how is the Philippines taking this piece of information, and how is the country planning to address or prepare as well? Secretary.
Prepare for the statement or prepare as a result? Anyway, thank you very much for the question. Of course, I didn't read the whole speech of Secretary Hegseth, but let me just say that when Secretary Hegseth visited the Philippines earlier or just last month, there was a clear reaffirmation of continuity of U.S. support for the Philippine-U.S. treaty alliance. And I think that's the best way to interpret what is going on. Naturally, China is a challenge, security challenge for the Philippines, and certainly we have undertaken actions, as you are well aware, of trying to address that through peaceful means, through dialogue and diplomacy. As I said, we wouldn't look at what the U.S. reactions or our talks with the U.S. Insofar as our own security needs are concerned. We base that on our dialogue with the various U.S. officials, high-level officials under the present administration of President Trump, and there's a clear commitment to continuation of the strong ties of the Philippines and the United States, not only in the security and defense field, but especially on the economic front. And those have been reaffirmed in all our talks with U.S. High-level officials. So I think we would take it that the U.S. commitment remains strong in our region, and that we are going to work with the U.S. as well as other partners in the region, including Japan, Australia, New Zealand, Korea, even Vietnam, and even Brunei. And we are also committed to working strongly with our key partners in other regions, especially the European Union and, of course, individual EU member states.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Secretary. Thank you, HRB Kallas. That concludes our joint press conference. Can we request one brief photo op before we finally conclude this activity engagement?
Where's the photo? Here?
Over here.
Thank you, and good afternoon to all.